You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our favourite show of the year. It's the IPL preview, the mega show, if you're listening on audio, or the next video in a very long series if you're watching it on YouTube. We've done the first three teams. We've consigned KKR to the basement. We've also consigned Mumbai Indians to a very lowly ninth place, and we've just dispatched Punjab Kings into eighth, although we don't necessarily agree with that. The order is based on our Patreons. We threw the call out to the Patreons to vote where they think everyone's going to finish this year, and the results have determined the order we're doing things. So next up is our fourth team, who we think are going to finish seventh. But before we get to that, we should probably remind you of our lovely sponsors, who are none other than Manscaped. Spring has sprung. It's sunny outside, and that means it's time to do some spring cleaning. So what you want to do is you want to head over to manscaped.com, buy yourself the performance package, or just the lawnmower 4.0, or some lovely new boxers. They're very comfortable, and use the code CricketPod to get 20% off and free shipping. Jack, you've sampled the goods.
You say sampled? Sounds like you've made I put that in my mouth. I haven't done that.
I don't want to put balls in your. Sorry, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I haven't done that. I have used the lawnmower. I have used the boxers. I've used the ball deodorant. Can confirm it's a wonderful package.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Jack Hope, who's a Mrs., gives it the thumbs up too.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah, the grass is starting to grow, so time to get the lawnmower. What's that, Dan?
Tell me about these boxes. I need to invest in some new boxes.
Oh, they are. They're actually genuinely really good. I don't know if anyone else does this, but if you've got like a long day on a train, or you're doing a long haul flight or something like that, you've got your go-to comfortable pants. They're my go-to comfortable pants.
Button fly?
Yeah. No, it's pouch.
No buttons. A pouch, a special pouch, and very breathable fabric. Very nice, very comfortable.
I think you're showing your age there, Dan.
Easy access.
Is it a Y front design, or is it?
Are they? Do they come stained, or do I have to do that myself?
Max, come on.
Right,
let's get back to the cricket.
So,
who is next?
In seventh place, I'm afraid to say it's my boys in yellow. It's the Chennai Super Kings. Four times winners.
We've lost so many listeners, haven't we? But we've got Mumbai Indians down in ninth. We've got CSK in seventh. Wow.
Wait till you hear fifth or sixth.
Wait till he's first.
It's a disaster. CSK, four times winners. Most recently in 2021, of course, when we gave them no hope, and the old blokes cobbled together and performed admirably, taking it home at a canter. And obviously their history involves the betting scandal fame, but we'll forget about that. They play, of course, at the Chepauk, notorious for taking spin and a slightly slower scoring game than some other venues in the IPL. So watch out for that. Captained by MS Dhoni and coached by Stephen Fleming, the evergreen MS Dhoni. So animal time, obviously. Chennai Super Kings, you can't look past the bull. Obviously, Jallikattu is the traditional bull riding / taming event that is synonymous with Tamil Nadu, and it fits perfectly. I swerved from Tigers for KKR, but this one fits the bill, and it fits the bill because bulls signify strength, and Dhoni signifies CSK. And fuck me, have you seen Dhoni recently?
He's got guns.
Stacked. He has been on the training, and my God, he has guns. So that's the main strength of CSK. Dhoni now benches 200 kilograms. When
you say on the training, do you say on the steroids? Is that what you're saying?
I would not like to cast aspersions about the potential ramifications of any drug taking that Dhoni has been doing.
It's all natural. Apart from his hair, which has gone from grey to very black.
When I saw the picture of him, I was a little confused about whether it was this year, because that hair was not grey, and I definitely remember Dhoni being grey. But no, he's got the Just for Men out as well as the dumbbells, and he's looking hot. I'm going to get a poster up. I think that could be for the next show.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the team. The IPL is back to home and away, as I said. The Chepauk spins a lot. The CSK have a 70% win rate at the Chepauk. in the IPL, and that is a big strength because they've still got the players that can make the most of that advantage. You've got.
Have they still got the curator though?
Have they still got the curator? I don't know. Have they?
Well, that's the ultimate question. Carry on.
Even if they don't, I'm sure he's passed on some notes. But yeah, Jadeja, you've got your Jadeja, you've got your Moeen Ali, you've got Theekshana, you've got spinners who tie things up, and that will be pretty handy at the Chepauk. So there's strength number one. Strength number two, they have some elite all rounders in that side. The aforementioned Jadeja and Moeen, one of the best spin hitters in the game, which again is going to be really helpful at the Chepauk, where you would expect teams to line up perhaps with the extra spinner because of the way it goes. And they've got a decent power play attack as well. Deepak Chahar being back is massive. They missed him hugely last year, and it meant that they were basically just throwing whoever they could find. Mukesh Chowdhury got most of it, and he did okay in the power play, but when he had to bowl the death overs, it didn't go quite so well. You had Shivam Dubey bowling the 19th over at one point, which was a complete disaster. They haven't completely solved that problem, but they've got danger in the power play. So when Chahar basically either takes 3 wickets in the power play or none. So it's a 50-50 hit rate, but if he takes 3, they're in a really good spot. Tie things up in the middle overs, and they're looking quite strong. On the downside, though, as I said, sort of lacking a bit in the death bowling department. If Dwayne Pretorius plays, then they have an option there. He's pretty handy towards the end with variations and blowing things up. But they did just spend a load of money on Ben Stokes. So is he going to play is a question. Maybe he'll come in over Theekshana and they'll use more spin from Moeen and Jadeja. I don't know. Questions to be answered. That does cause them some problems. If Stokes does play, they're also quite heavy on the lefties. Conway, Moeen, Stokes, Jadeja. So that could also cause some problems if a team just turns up with an off spinner. So plenty to ponder for them. But I think we're sort of moving towards now the teams that are in contention. You're looking at more of a kind of balance of here are some strengths and here's the same number of weaknesses, rather than here's one strength that we've managed to drag from the bottom of the barrel and here's everything that's wrong with this team. So I'm feeling a bit more optimistic. That's why obviously the Patreons are feeling a bit more optimistic about CSK. Where do you guys stand, Dan? How do you feel about the boys in yellow?
Well, I think every year I say the same thing, and I'm not massively enthused by their squad or their team, but then they sort of just somehow kind of like pull it together and get there somehow. Look, I'm not a massive fan of their bench strength. I don't see that they've got really any high intent batters on the bench that are going to change games.
They haven't got many in the first side either.
That's also true. I mean, I think that Stokes as an all-rounder is overrated at the price point and in this format, and we don't know whether he's even going to bowl. So, I mean, would you pay that money for a batting Ben Stokes? No, you wouldn't. Look, but then they've got Moeen Ali, Jadeja, who are outstanding T20 players. Gaikwad is really improving. Deepak Chahar is a very useful space specialist. I really rate Mahesh Theekshana, and I think he'll play. And I think that Chepauk gives him the opportunity to actually get a ton of wickets. And if he played every game, could well be like an outside shout for one of the leading wicket takers in the tournament. And they've got the power play kind of sewn up as well with Mukesh Chowdhury and Deepak Chahar, but death bowling could be a major issue. And also backup spinners as well, because they only really have 2. They have Prashant Solanki, who's only played 5 T20 matches in his entire career and certainly didn't pull up any trees in the smat recently. And they've got an off-spinner Bhagat Varma, but they don't need that because they've got Moeen Ali and they've got Mahesh Theekshana already. So ultimately, there's not a lot of bench strength. It's an old team, which is what we're used to with CSK. Look, if it doesn't go right quickly, they might have a few problems.
I think I always underrate their chances because I don't like them very much. something about CSK. I think the match fixing scandal rubs me up the wrong way a little bit. I think anyone who has a 2-year ban for that. Two, the owner recently around the Women's Premier League, that annoyed me.
Yeah.
3, the Chepauk. That can get in the bin as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
it has been redeveloped. I'm sure
if anyone did hang around to listen to this bit, they've definitely gone now.
If you are a CSK fan, I can see why some of the things I've just listed. If you're like, oh no, I really liked it when he said he didn't want a women's Premier League team, then you're an idiot. But it's fine if you're a CSK fan to like the Chepauk. I think, like, I would like it too if I was a home fan. So I always think they're going to be worse than they are, just so I don't have to think about them winning. But Max, I think you put together a reasonable presentation, and then you throw in the Chepauk factor there. And then, as Dan says, every year I do this. I go, they're not very good, and then every year, apart from last year, they turn out to be actually pretty decent. So I've got a worrying feeling that they are going to put something together and be quite an irritating team to watch. I'd be interested to see if Dhoni with guns is the real deal. That's the main narrative arc that I'm invested in is strong Dhoni and whether he can do something. The only thing I would say, and it was pointed out as potentially a slight weakness, the left-hander situation. I don't know if it's as bad. Like, I think if you look at the lineup, you go, oh, that's really bad. But then you look at like how Conway actually does against off spin, and you look at how Moeen Ali actually does against off spin, and you're like, well,
actually not that bad.
They're better than most right-handers. This isn't really that much of a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's what I think about them.
Hey, you're forgetting the big things here, guys. It's all well and good talking about stats, talking about matchups, talking about records.
Dhoni's arms.
That's not how cricket goes. It's all about narratives. And Dhoni, this is Dhoni's last season, apparently.
No, it's not.
He's back. He's back at the Chepauk after a 3-year absence. You've got narrative magnet Ben Stokes in this lineup. Like putting Dhoni and Stokes into one blender is insane.
And cruel.
Yeah, and then you've also got the Ravi Jadeja redemption arc on this. There is so much universal will for this team that it's all coming up CSK. I think these are dead certs for the playoffs.
Wow. Good shout from Ross. So, I mean, I've set out one route, sort of the logical route to how they would do well. There is a second one, which is all about mind games. Now, obviously,
match fixing. That was
no.
They've done
that. Someone else can have a go at that now. We'll leave that to Barcelona. Obviously, I've mentioned Dhoni's arms. Dhoni's stacked. He's been away. He's been pumping iron. He's huge. He's just going to go now for the total mindfuck approach of anyone who comes out to bat and hits a nice big six. He's just gonna come up and whisper in the air, "Do you even lift, bro?" Wind them up so much they completely lose their head. Get out next ball, and no one's gonna be able to put a score together against CSK. That's how I see it going. So, I mean, sidewise, I'll put the 11 down, and this kind of assumes that Stokes bowls a bit. So I've got Gaikwad, Conway, Moeen, Rayudu, Stokes, Jadeja, the Doob, Dhoni, Chahar, Theekshana, and Chowdhury. Quite a lot of spin there. I think you might, and I think the issue, obviously, Stokes, if he doesn't bowl. If Stokes doesn't bowl, I'd be inclined to play Dwayne Pretorius to give a bit more option at the death. I would almost be inclined to do that anyway, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think they would if Stokes bowls, but I think they potentially should. The other option, which again probably wouldn't be a great idea, is you could play Stokes as an opener instead of Conway, because Dhoni will have the gloves and you don't need Conway as a keeper. That's another option for them. But I think as an 11. With the odd change, I would say that's fairly straight up what they'll go for. I don't see a Jinky Rahane coming in somehow. Obviously, Mitch Santner's just a backup, and Carl Jameson is injured. So,
can I ask a question here? So, at the Chepauk, spin to win, right? Could Ravi Jadeja be used as a death bowler in this lineup? Because he is typically quite difficult to hit. The trajectory is quite difficult to hit. Obviously, we've been following the IPL for the last 4 years, right? We've not really seen it at the Chepauk in all its glory. Could we be seeing kind of spin bowlers used at the death and fixing that, or is that just still a no-go?
I think it's a lot to ask. I really do. The only other thing, I mean, they might, I don't know how they do it. I've got the same 11 on my Substack as Max picked. So I think that's really clear cut in terms of their likely 11. The only thing is, do they, I mean, no death bowlers, do they look at someone like Sisanda Magala, who they brought in for Kyle Jamieson, but now he's injured as well. So I think he's split webbing in his hand. So, so whether he's fit for the start of the comp is another matter entirely.
Patirana?
Oh, he's exciting. I like this kid, actually. Junior Malinga, they call him. But obviously that's a lot to ask of a youngster to come in and be your primary death bowler with no support.
Yeah, a tricky one, but I mean, I think Reese. So in terms of, I mean, the prediction is so patrons have got them coming in 7th. I reckon potentially pushing the playoffs, but just missing out. Possibly depending on what they do around Stokes, but I think they're probably higher than 7th. I reckon they're in with a 5th or 6th shot, but I don't know if they'll quite make it. Where do you guys sit on that?
For me, I look at how many wins I think they're going to get, and I double them. So,
so they're going to win every game?
No, I think they're going to win like 3, and now they might win 6 or sort of thing. I don't know, maybe something like that, 4 or 8. You can never rule them out. Is this a squad that I would have loved to have assembled? Absolutely not. But you never know with this team.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I think I think 7th, 6th, 7th is about fair.
Yeah, one's to watch. I mean, I would say Thikshana, but like he's genuinely good. We all know he's good, so that seems like a bit churlish. So I'll go with Mukesh Chowdhury to have a decent year with the backup of Deepak Chahar around, so he doesn't have to do it all on his own. I think maybe some support will see him improve measurably, but it's a bit of, obviously you could also say the Doob, because it's always fun to say the Doob. Dan, do you have anyone that might come out the wings?
Maybe. The problem is, you were talking about emerging players. This is a team that doesn't do it.
Yeah, they don't do that.
They've got a left-hand batter.
Jadeja.
Another left-hand batter who bowls left-arm orthodox as well, in Nishant Sindhu. Now, ultimately, we're dealing with pretty small sample sizes here, but in list A in first class, he looks something of an extremely aggressive batter as well. And in his T20 matches so far, he's done pretty decently too, with the ball. So, he's got quite a nice 4-6 ratio, which shows that he's got the power and intent, perhaps. But the problem is he's 18, so he's probably got to wait 10 years for his debut in this team.
Cool.
Right, I think that's
I
a
think
good way.
that wraps up CSK. So I don't know who we're over to next, but we will come back shortly with team that we think will be finishing 6th.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.